Super BS.
Oh, yeah, we're pouring out some love for our lost friends, Dr. Donna and Stank Bank. You saw that sweet, sweet intro video. You saw our portraits of them lifting our glass up. They're not dead. They're just dead to the show, I guess, right now, right?
And dead to us in that way. So
and dead to us sometimes, yeah. Except when we want to talk to them. Anyways, I'm your revered and revealed,
reviled.
host, one of three hosts. I'm Jank, the despised one. But the name I got by my mom when I came out of.
I've been called a mother.
There we go. Yeah, the mother.
Anyways, Josh Peterson. I'm joined here by a baby boy,
luscious baby boy, back from the dead, ready to break some bread. It's me, little baby boy Brank. I know everybody's like, "Are you so luscious and tall and fit and cool?" And it's like, just guys, you got to understand when you're a little baby boy like me, you're growing boys' needs. Okay.
Such a weird adjective, luscious. It's like
this will get us canceled. That's what the goal is by the end of it. We've been finding ways to get this show canceled for years now. They won't take us off the air.
At least soon. All right. I'm also joined here by a man of many faces and podcasts. Who am I joined here by?
That would be me, Gerald Glassford. Whatever. Who else?
Yeah, of course. Who else? You know, Gerald, funny story. I always back when I used to have panic attacks, like I used to do like the 1, 2, 3, but then in my head, instead of counting, I started like naming the posters that you have on the wall behind you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oblivion, Rainbow Six Vegas, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, Elder Scrolls.
They do get talked about quite a bit on any one of the shows. Hey, nice posters, dude. Nice stuff. Nice memorabilia. Nice stuff.
These are people of taste.
Yeah.
You have to admit.
Yes.
All right. I gotta Janky Poo, I gotta ask you. You're our resident Studio Ghibli scholar, I like to say. Did you check out The Boy and the Heron? I just watched it, and
yeah, it was great. Oh, did I watch it in theatrical release last December? Yes, I did. Okay, I'm not you some pretend Hayao Miyazaki fan. Oh, did I go to the Studio Ghibli Museum in Tokyo? Yes, I did. I wouldn't just pretend to like Studio Ghibli like you did. What do you think of it?
I liked it. Like it had a lot of stuff because I got two. So we have 5 kids, and 2 of them, are not my biological kids. So like I felt, it kind of felt like it had a storyline for me, with the mom, taking in
the son.
I forgot. So it was pretty cool.
I love all the magical realism in all the Hayao Miyazaki films, like especially, I mean, and it's not even magical realism, it's just like fantasy for Spirited Away. But a lot of the films, even the ones that are grounded in reality, always take this kind of like weird turn or have like, I mean, My Neighbor Totoro, right? It's just about like 2 little girls moving into like a rural place to live. And then it's got all this crazy stuff that happens that just makes it interesting. But it's always stuff that like in Western media, because the drawings are really like scary, we would always assume is like frightening. Is I think just stuff that a lot of people over there would just be like, oh, like it's a cat bus, right? Like, I mean, I think most things here, if they made that would have a very different tone, whether it's musically or whatever. So yeah, it's I like The Boy and the Heron. I can understand why people don't like it because it's a very, very long and difficult film, but I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really well done, and the animation's always beautiful in those movies. But I thought the story was really great. Gerald, did you watch? I remember we talked about this at some point. Did you see it?
Yeah, actually, really good, really impressive. So,
Gerald's a day one fan like me and OG, so he watched it in December when OG fans watch it. I'm sorry, despised one, that we don't all
so much to catch up on
about it.
And that's the only thing, you can't watch those. It's so hard to catch everything when it releases day and date. I mean, I'm on Vox Machina now on Amazon trying to catch up to it. Yeah, just binging it 3 at a time. That's pretty easy because they're only 30 minutes. But it's those other stuff that just drops, like Netflix when it drops 6 episodes all at one time. that's just so hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. So, sorry, we'll get on to games here in a minute, but
No,
Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Daima came out on Crunchyroll. I know they're releasing on Netflix, but this is one of those ones where they're dropping an episode every week instead of just dropping the whole series at once. So, yeah, I guess
Isn't there like a reviled Dragon Ball either movie or TV show that people were saying looked really bad that came out not too long ago? I don't follow Dragon Ball well enough, but I feel like people were mentioning this one looked really bad.
Yeah, it was Dragon Ball Superhero. I thought it looked okay. Like it's just a different animation style than what was what's been done in the past. They use more computer graphics in their animation than just a straight 2D animation. But I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good.
It's saying that's a 2022 one. Are you sure there's not one that came out like in this year? Because I feel like I heard about it in the last couple months.
Dragon Ball Daima, that might be what you're talking about. The animation style in Daima is a lot different than any of the other ones. So true.
Okay. So you like just crappy animation? That's kind of what we're getting from everybody. Is you like whatever the worst animation? See the trash? That's like coffee spills. That's what the animation is. It doesn't even look like the characters. They just write Goku under each of the coffees.
Did you guys ever end up catching Blue Eye Samurai, the Emmy Award winner for Best Animation?
I watched like half of it. My wife watched the first half without me, and I will say first episode was good. It was intriguing. I have very limited free time, so it's normally between watching and playing. I'm going to choose playing. But I caught the end, like once things had ramped up, and it was cool. It's just I don't know if I'll ever get back to it to like catch up between what happened between episodes 1 and 4, which is where I watched 4 to the end.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. Watched all the way through. The end kind of because they know they have a season 2 in mind. They kind of took liberties with the stuff that they were promising to deliver throughout the series. But outside of that, yeah, really well done. And the animation was top notch.
Yeah, how lame is that? That like kind of every show nowadays, I get it. Like everybody wants to keep having a job. I don't blame them for that portion. But like no shows are self-contained, right? Like I don't know if you guys got to watch the phenomenal Arcane show that came out probably 2 years ago. I think season 2 is about to come out. But that could have easily been a just all-in-one season, right? Like I know it would have been sad, but it could have been a really cool anthology style series. They didn't need to make Arcane season 2. But instead, they're like
show, right?
Yes, yep. Okay. But instead, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do a season 2." So it's been 2 years. Like I don't care that much. Like, I'm gonna probably watch Arcane season 2 because 1 was so good. But it is hard to hold that excitement. I felt the same with House of Dragons. Felt the same with Tokyo Vice. It's just like if you keep pushing things down the road, it gets really tricky. Gerald loves all these shows.
I like Tokyo Vice. Tokyo Vice is actually one of the best shows I've seen this year. Season 2, they closed it out, and then they left that at the end. That little window, annoying. But they got canceled.
Yeah, I know.
They knew already what their fate was, most likely, but they just left that door open for something else. But I like the fact that they finished that two-season arc. Yes, part of the story.
They did a great job, and I do love Tokyo Vice. I will say I would have been right there with you. And when it came out, Tokyo Vice season 1 was probably my favorite show the year it released. But to be honest with you, Gerald, Shogun just blew everything out of the water. I was watching Tokyo Vice season 2 and Shogun at the same time, and I read the Shogun book back in the day. Shogun was phenomenal, even with all the changes.
They are running neck and neck with me for the best of pop culture for this year, but that last episode for Shogun,
you didn't love it. That's how it is. I mean, that's how the show or the book ends, though. And like, the most annoying thing to me is that they're planning on doing a season 2. Like, I'm like, why can't we just have good things?
Because the first season ends right where the book ends. So where they plan to go?
It was that flashback the flash forward that really threw me off. With they tried to age the lead character. That it was.
I still love that show, man. I love every single.
But episode 9, one of the best episodes I've seen in the past 5 years.
Yeah, the guy that played the captain, I forget what his name is. The captive captain. Like I forget what his name is. Like that guy.
Anshin is the name they call him in the book. It just means foreigner.
Yeah, but I mean, that guy that played the actor for that guy was amazing. Like he was
honestly why killed it in that. Yeah,
because it's hard to be like a white a white, to be that white character in a Japanese story. Like,
just say it's hard to be white, okay, Josh? Nobody on the internet will be upset with you when you say that. That is how you get.
It's just a burden that I carry,
I mean, I don't know his name, but the Japanese dude, the actual Shogun guy, like he's insane in John Wick season 4 or John Wick season 4.
Oh,
John
yeah.
Wick 4, he's incredible in that show. Every time I see him, and to be honest, the other guy, I can never remember his name, but kind of like the sneaky
Hiroki
dude.
Sanada, as you're talking about.
Yes, Hiroki Sanada. The other guy, the sneaky dude, he's also phenomenal. His emotions, like his facial emotions, as he would keep going back and forth to try to, further progress what he wanted.
Yamashigwe was the character.
Yeah, that's right.
Yamashita, you said?
Yamashigwe.
Yamashigwe,
was the character where he
He's
kept going
guy-
back and forth.
Yeah.
He's the lead,
Right?
Dude, he's so good.
And
That
ended
show-
up getting burned for it at the end. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That show is like, honestly, I mean, I think the only thing that leaves any weird taste in my mouth is the fact that they're doing a season 2. But I'll probably have to treat it like I treat Arrested Development and every other show where they're like, hey, we're going to make another season. And you're like, wait, this was good and perfect. You didn't need to make another season. And
Todd Phillips
write
didn't
it
want to
off.
make another Joker, and look what happened there.
Yeah, it'd be
Number
cool,
one
though.
film in America. I know. It's $100 billion.
Everybody loves it. No, it'd be cool though if they told the actual like historical story that was supposed to be told in The Last Samurai before it got the Tom Cruise treatment.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I mean, I love The Last Samurai. That's one of my favorite like historical war epics.
Great. Yeah, it's a great movie. It just didn't quite happen the way it was depicted.
But I only care about historical accuracy, so I don't even want to watch it.
All we want is like really fine female protagonists. That's where.
That's what I care about. Okay.
Did you end up seeing My Hero at the movies, Josh?
No, my in-laws were in town, so I didn't get to really do.
It's the first weekend ever that there were 5 animated movies in the top 10.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was Hero. And what else was in theaters?
The Nightmare Before Christmas re-release.
Yeah, but Wild Robot looks insane. The
Wild
art
Robot, yeah.
But anyways, we got to get to games, guys. I'm just realizing we were going to be talking about movies. But before we get to games, I got to bring up Gerald because you brought it up. That is kind of a cop-out, because this is historical. This is the first time ever that 5 of the top 10 films in theaters are animated. But if you actually look at 7, 8, and 9, they each brought in like a total of $10 million combined. Yeah. Not saying that discounts it. It just means like, hey, this is a very different like top 10, right? Like Joker is number 3 at $7 million or some nonsense.
After it dropped over 80%.
It's insane. Like I don't even.
A really bad movie.
It's a really good movie. It's actually, I don't know. I'm never going to watch it. I did watch Saturday Night, the Saturday Night Live before the first episode movie. Very, very fun. Jason Reitman, I want to say it's Ivan Reitman's son. Like he was a Ghostbuster dude. But that was really, really phenomenal. I haven't got to see though anything else. I didn't watch Wild Robot or anything, but I know that there's games aplenty that you guys are itching to talk to us about. So I got to hear about
them. Nice redirect. All right, so I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna go first. All right, so I got ambitious.
Selfish boy.
I got ambitious this week, and I finished Astrobot.
Okay.
So Brank, you said that you 100% of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I finished the game. I got 272 of the robots, and then but there's some of those like those bonus levels, the speed running ones, I just can't do, man. I tried so hard. I'm sure if I like sat
have you thought about like just getting good? Like, have you thought about just trying to get good? If you got good, then you actually might be able to beat them.
I googled that. I googled how to get good, and they're like miracles don't always happen to people, So
yeah, I mean, I just consider that. I mean, next time you talk about how crappy you are at Astrobot, I would consider, it's game for children. You could get good, and actually, I'm just saying, there's some difficult ones. Just know that if you are going to try to 100% it, the last stage, without saying much more than that, is way harder than any of those other stages.
Okay.
So it is easily the thing that took me the longest.
So are you talking about the one that like opened after you finished the last boss?
I don't want to spoil anything. Just know that the last final thing you can do in the game is one of the hardest stages. So it's that game's phenomenal. I don't know what to say. If I could go back and just play it right now and have a fresh experience, I would. It's kind of tricky because there's so many new experiences coming out right now and once I get to talk about what I'm playing, I've been playing them all, baby. But it is tricky. Yeah, I would say Astrobot is totally worth your time to go back and get all of the bots, all the puzzle pieces, to unlock every single like collectible. It's just fun. So I'd do it, but it's up to you. I mean, you could live a bad life if you want. I mean, no one's gonna stop you from doing that.
Oh man, you remind me of my grandma. You know, rest in peace. Sometimes she just kind of
she also made fun of you
over my shoulder.
Yeah, I agreed with your grandma. Every time she picked on you, I picked up those. I wrote down her jeering insults of you. It's like, hit him with another one, is what I said to her.
Please do. All right, yeah. So I finished that. I will say one more comment on it. I do love like how aware of itself that game is. Like when you get to the end and you hear it have the spoilers, the self-sacrifice moment, and then they're like, gotcha, and you know it's just yeah. Anyways, yeah, no, it was fun. I'll probably try to go back and finish it. But anyways, it was a really great game. It was a nice call out to the platformers of yesteryear. And it really made me want to go back and play Spyro the Dragon. I don't know if I'll do that, but
some of those collectibles really make you just want to play all the games that exist.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know we can't turn this into this because it will take way too long, but where's it sitting on your GOTY list right now, do you think? Is it on there?
Yeah, it definitely is. Funny enough, like I don't remember. I got to look back at all the things I played this year. I think I've played probably at least 6 games this year, so it's probably in my top 3 for sure. But
okay,
yeah. Okay, well, where's it sitting on yours? And now I gotta ask.
I can't tell you that. I will say it's top 5, but I've played a lot of games that came out this year. So every major game excluding Helldivers and of course Concord I didn't get to. It's the biggest game. I can't believe I missed out on that. I'm gonna get to it next week.
I got a copy.
Thanks. I would love that copy. I need to play because I'll put it in my PlayStation, turn it right on. But besides Helldivers and Concord and now Silent Hill, I have played, I think, every big AAA game that released this year. So it's probably in my top 5, but this has actually been a really solid year. Is it as good as last year's like Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3? I don't think so, but it does have a lot of really good RPGs. Like it's a very RPG heavy year.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting to. My next thing here is I played. Okay, I didn't play is probably not the right term. I got Visions of Mana.
I thought about it.
No, I installed Visions of Mana today because I got ambitious. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play some Visions of Mana so I can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Installed it. Took my youngest kid to go get some chicken nuggets, and I came back. My 2 older kids had taken Visions of Mana out of the PlayStation and put Astrobot back in. So
they told you they did what's right. They did the Lord's work. You need to finish your work before you move on. Okay, to your dessert. You got to eat your first course.
Give me, as The Rock says, and was it Fast and Furious 7 or whatever? Give me the veggies.
Give me the veggies, dude. Fast 5 is so awesome. That's when they introduce him as Hobbs. And he's like walking around with all these ridiculous lines. Give me the veggies.
Give me the veggies. Yeah, he's yeah. Anyways, I also played The Fall of Porcupine. I don't know if you heard of that one. It's the last year game, but it's been on my list for a while. It's kind of the same animation style as A Night in the Woods. You know how I like me some what do you call it? Just like relaxing. Cool
you hate Night in the Woods. We've never heard about it on any of the 3 times we've done this.
This is a lie. It's a lie. Anyways, it's a cool game.
Wait, Gerald asked you a question.
Oh, wait, sorry. No,
how are those color palettes?
Listen to you rant. It's actually a really pretty color palettes. They're like bright. They're like autumn colors because the whole game takes place in a small town that's like surrounded by trees and stuff. And so, much like Night in the Woods, there's a cult story happening in the background while you're doing this little like slice of life game and doing this. You play as like a pigeon. And you go do all the different things this pigeon has to do during the day. They're what do you call it? Anthropomorphic, where they're like human.
Anthropomorphic. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah. Anyways, I haven't quite finished it yet, so I can't say how great
it's game of the year. I mean, it's game of the year for last year. Better than Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean it's no Tears of the Kingdom, but yeah, I mean it's I like I said, I like those games, like Beacon Pines and Night in the Woods. So this is definitely I want to play this, and I want to play Firewatch is one I never got around to playing too, and Oxenfree. I don't think I ever played that one. So I got some backlist games that shorter backlist games I want to get to eventually. Gerald, real quick though, we got to do our weekly Concord check-in. You ready to hear what the Concord has been selling for today?
We got it.
Yeah, here we go. It's 80 something last time I saw it. This
$45.
There you go.
I still think it has a chance to turn around.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure. Yeah. It's in the moment right now where people are reacting to it. So I have a feeling once it just like a fine wine, just let it mature. Just let it.
Yeah, I think what happened was a lot of people bought it to resell it, and then I think what's happening is they're getting nervous, right? They thought it was going to go up, and now it's going down, so they're probably going to be offloading a lot of their stuff.
Price charting has it down to 67. So
yeah, I have a feeling in a little bit, I mean, depending on how many copies are out there, right? But in a little bit, it'll probably regain its value. It just depends on how many people are sitting on it to sell it and how many people are sitting on it to collect it. And if the overwhelming majority is sitting on it to sell it, then it will never regain value. But
if they ever end up re-releasing it, I mean,
they definitely will. It was such a good game. I mean, they couldn't not. What I'm
saying is, in some other form, even just digitally, I don't know how that'll affect the.
It's coming to Prime Video.
Yeah, there you go. See, Secret Levels. They already realized that's good.
Alexa. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
The cast got released accidentally, as far as leaked out by Keanu Reeves, the Schwarzeneggers. Yeah, ton of good names on it. They're going to be part of that cast.
Gerald, I know I want to hear what else you've been playing, but I also want to do our weekly Elder Scrolls check-in. How's Oblivion? How's your?
I did finish the main quest in Oblivion. Yeah,
okay.
So
you rushed those Oblivion gates?
Yes, all 32 of them or something like that. Yes. Grind, rinse, and repeat. You want to have companions with you for that, but then I just said, after a while, just screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it my own. Yeah, just run by them. Just hey,
the companion system in that game is annoying because they get stuck places. Like I had a companion get stuck in one of the Oblivion gates, and it would not give me the check on the quest because he was stuck in there. So I had to go back and reload an old checkpoint to get it.
Yeah, I had to do that twice as far as where I closed Oblivion gates and it didn't count it. So I actually had to go back to an old save and redo it again. So, yes.
That's the fun part when you get those bugs.
Can't wait for the Oblivion remaster. That's what I'm waiting for.
Right when you finish Oblivion. That's the day they'll announce and release it.
Exactly. But,
so soon, you're almost done. You finished the main quest. Now you just have 200 hours of side quest content to do.
Mm-hmm. If I want to go ahead and do it. But I decided just to dabble a little bit with Diablo 4. Okay. I know Vessel of Hatred just came out, but I don't know if I'm going to stay with it because of the fact that I know if you heard us on the Friday show as far as the PC Multiverse, Melinda and her husband are not exactly thrilled with how they.
Yeah. Why?
So with the Vessel of Hatred, I guess they did an update. They were around level 90, and I think it took them back 40 levels.
Yeah, so they squished it. The max now is 60, I want to say.
Yeah, I know that's 60. Yeah, brought them down to 60, took away a ton of their equipment, and they are.
Okay, explain this to me though. What's going on? I'm not a Diablo player, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. What happened?
In advance of the new DLC Vessel of Hatred that came out, they did an update, and in doing so, instead of sometimes allowing. Most of them just will allow you, they'll put a new cap on it. They'll say, okay, go from 10. Now you can go to 20, or you can go to 50, you can go to 7. No, they brought it back down. So the max, like Brank said, is 60.
So it was 100. Now it's 60. So if you were 100, you're now level 60. But if you were 90, you might be 50 or 48 or whatever, right?
She said 50. I think she said 50. Yeah. So
seems like a disservice to the players, though. Why would you?
Sometimes it's because it gets too big, right? Like WoW, they finally did that again because WoW was getting, I want to say it was 150 or something, or maybe it was higher. and then they squished it again, and I want to say now it's close to 150 again. So
because they were excited to play it, and when they saw a large chunk of their inventory was gone, they're just like, I don't want to do this. I'm just leaving it. I'm done. They're done. And it's just like that. That's such a deterrent for players. Like if somebody came now to take away all the stuff I had earned in Oblivion, I would just say, I'm done. I'm moving on. So something else.
This is a Blizzard thing, though, right? I'm looking at World of Warcraft. So it was like 60 was the cap for the first one, 70 for the first expansion, 80, 85, 90, 100, 110, 120. They squish it down to 60 for the next expansion. So if you were 120, you went down to 50. And then now it's 70 is the new one, right? So I think the problem is they don't want to just keep going up, right? Not that that's bad, but I do think it makes it hard to do the numbers once you get to 200 or 250 or whatever to make. I don't know. I'm not doing all the math on their ends.
Do they have to keep on upping the difficulty of the things in the world if they keep on making the level cap go higher?
I mean, most of the zones in WoW, and I assume it's similar for Diablo, are level cap or level based, right? But I mean, that's just coming from old WoW knowledge. They might
scales up when you scale up.
Oh, they scaled? Okay,
I think they do scale up.
It used to be zones, but I mean, this is 2004 WoW, so I haven't played WoW since like 2006. So yeah, a lot of the games do scaling now. So they probably just decided, hey, it was easier to do. Hey, if you're 50 to 60, this is going to be it. I don't understand it, but I'm sure somebody who's way better at math than I am. But they did take a risk, because the truth is I've heard a lot of complaints about that. There's also been a lot of complaints about like trying to log in and stuff. That's also not been super easy. There's been a lot of issues at launch, which kind of seems to keep happening. I don't know if Blizzard can't get their stuff under there. By the way, non-gaming related, I'm reading The Rise and Fall of Blizzard. I think it's called.
It's Jason Schreier's book, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's so good. I'm like probably only it's 6 chapters in. I haven't had a lot of time, but it's called Play Nice. That's what it is. The Rise and Fall of the Blizzard Entertainment. But it's phenomenal. It's really cool. It gives you a big insight into a company, and the gaming industry generally is pretty hidden. They don't really talk about a lot of stuff. You can like try to reach out to people, but you only get a little bit of knowledge of like one thing. So this is cool to read about one of the biggest companies where they talk about multiple CEOs and people splitting off, and how Guild Wars, if you remember that MMO, how that was created. Anyways, I don't mean to bring that up, but that's just like it seems to be a Blizzard thing is all I'm getting at, is these changes.
Gerald, anything else you've been dabbling with?
Not yet, but I'm just waiting. This is the best time of the year for video games, because you're seeing video game releases coming right and left. We'll talk about a few, including one that I think surprised a lot of people in the past week. So we are getting a lot of good releases. For me, again, December 7th, if they stick to it, for Indiana Jones, maybe even October 31st for Dragon Age as well.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm excited for that one.
All right. This Brank. What
this a Brank. This a me.
I
This
was
a
about
Brank.
to say, this young baby boy here.
Oh man, this baby boy's gonna rip it real quick so we can get to some news. So I have been finishing up Echoes of Wisdom. It's still good. The more I play it, the more I realize that this is probably not even in my top 5 Zeldas, which is not disappointing, but considering like every recent Zelda release since, I guess everything after, I should say, Skyward Sword, Between Two Worlds, Link Between Two Worlds, or Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom they're all in my top 5. This one's weird. I don't think it's in my top 5 just because I don't think it's as good as those 3. And then I don't think it has the nostalgia of like Ocarina of Time or A Link to the Past or one of those. But it's still fun. There's a lot I'm enjoying. I do find it strange. I'm at the very end. Like I could go fight the last boss, but there's so many hidden things that, and I tried to play it pretty as thoroughly as possible, that I probably spent 4 hours after I got to the previous dungeon. And I'm still not even, I haven't gotten all the hearts and all the costumes and all the other stuff. So that game's good. You should definitely check it out. It's hard for me to recommend as like the Zelda you should play. Like if you haven't spent your time with Tears of the Kingdom, go play that. That game is, I still think at least once a month, whether Elden Ring or Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite game of all time. Considering that was once Chrono Trigger. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It seems that there wasn't like beyond the gimmicks. It was not very I don't know, something that you'd want to go back to time and time again, like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, so the rumor is that this was supposed to be Legend of Zelda Maker, right? Grezzo was going to make the Super Mario Maker. It was going to be called Legend of Zelda Maker. They switched it into an actual Zelda title on its own. It was going to be featuring Link, but then they realized it wasn't fun to create. This is all the rumor, right? That this is how the game was made. It was going to be Link based, like all of them are, but then they realized it wasn't fun to have the echoes and have the sword, because then people would just use the sword the whole time. So they made you Zelda, right? And then they made it so you could like turn into sword fighter mode for a time period. And I get it. If they would have given me the ability just to play with swords and bows and bombs the whole time, I probably would have never used the echoes at all. So the game would have been very different, because some fights are miserable because your echoes will do what they want. And if it's like, oh, this guy's flying, I can't hit him because I need a flying echo. And then those echoes kind of like do whatever they want and titter tatter around, and they don't go after the enemy. You're like, what is going on, right? Especially when you're doing some time challenges.
Yeah.
So that's the rumor, right? So I can see how it was made the way it is, because it does feel like it is the perfect. I mean, think about all the echoes. They're essentially every enemy in a Zelda game. So they were making a Zelda Maker. They had to put all that stuff in there so you could create it, right? That being said, I still think it's great. Like, it's definitely worth your time. I think it's still way better than Skyward Sword, probably better than Twilight Princess. But it's really when you get to like Wind Waker, which I think is really great, where it's like, I just don't know. It's a very different Zelda. This one is much more in line with Link Between Worlds and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but it has way more talking. So it's almost like it gives you some of the freedom where you can tackle the dungeons in kind of a set order. There's phases to which ones you can go to. But you also are having to sit through tons of dialogue on your way to each dungeon as you help a Yeti's brother, or find his brother or whatever, right? Like, there's lots of different like small storylines that they're fun, but it feels a lot more like you're reading way more than Tears of the Kingdom, because you were doing so much between each dungeon in Tears.
Yeah.
And then I've also been playing. Oh, did you have a question about Echoes of Wisdom?
No. So I was gonna. I mean, do you see any like replayability in the game? Anything you might possibly go back to?
This won't be one that I ever revisit, but I don't revisit most games. I will probably revisit Tears of the Kingdom because I revisited Breath of the Wild 2 or 3 times, but I've never replayed any of the other Zeldas besides Ocarina of Time. Right? Like, that's the only other one I've replayed because we were kids when it came out, so there's like big nostalgia for it. It's been released a lot of times, so I'll play it generally when it's released. And Wind Waker, when it's released, I'll play that again. But it's not unusual for me to say, no, this is a one and done, right? Most games for me are one and done. I've also been playing Metaphor Refantasio. That's really good. It's a phenomenal JRPG. I haven't got to put nearly as much time as I want to. I'm still in the demo part of it. The demo can last anywhere from 3 to 10 hours. So I'm just still getting my way through that. And then the demo save transfers into the main game. So I picked up the main game. I just haven't even got out of the demo yet. But I mean, this is game and season, man. To give a little bit more about Metaphor before I hop off it, it has the turn-based mechanics of all the Persona games, but it has a leveling, a job system, I should say. Kind of like a Final Fantasy where you can choose mage and warrior, and then you can level them up and get the skills, and then you can essentially create a combined class where you can have all the skills from every other archetype that you've learned before. So it's really, really neat. You also can fight enemies outside. You know how like in some JRPGs they'll let you attack an enemy to get the drop on them?
Yeah.
Well, this allows you to kill the enemy completely outside of the turn-based battle if you're strong enough and the enemy's weak enough. So you can just attack them.
You don't even go to like is there like a separate battle screen?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yeah. Okay. So you essentially, you run around the world map. You can attack with the X button. If the enemy attacks you, you enter a turn-based battle. If you could just fight the enemy the whole way, but if you hit them enough and then you press Y, because you can press Y whenever you want to go to turn-based battle, right? But if you hit them enough and then you press Y, they'll be stunned when you enter the battle, right? But if you wanted to dodge and try to figure it out, you could just keep fighting them, right? And if you're playing as a mage, you do range attacks. If you're playing as like a warrior, you're doing a sword attack. So there's a lot of neat ideas, and it seems like from what I've heard from everyone else online, it is the easiest to grok for all of the different skills and abilities and the way the links work and everything. So yeah, it's good. It's really, really neat. I think I mentioned this on the podcast last time. I did play quite a bit of UFO 50 and a lot of Plucky Squire, but I haven't gotten to play too much since then. So right now I'm just trying to wrap up Echoes of Wisdom before Brothership comes out and before like this holiday starts with, Dragon Age the Veilguard and Wise 10 comes out, or Ease, I guess people call it. Neva looks really good, that indie RPG or indie adventure game. And truly, like, if I had more time, I would have loved to play Silent Hill 2. I've heard the remake's great. Something I didn't expect, but I just don't have time.
Saw really good reviews for it.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I love me a survival horror action game.
Yeah. So next week I want to talk about, our favorite horror games, but it's been, I fell behind on buying
Concord.
Yeah, buying Concord. This is a Concord only podcast. That's why it's called what did they had a name for it? Edge Runners? No, Edge Runners is Cyberpunk.
Oh,
what did they call the Free Gunners?
Good name. Yep.
That's why we're called the Free Gunners podcast. Everybody knows this as Super Free Gunners. Super FG.
All right, so let's jump into some news here. We got quite a bit on the docket today.
Nice.
First things first, I mean, this is the thing we're going to talk about last week, but what do you guys think about 343 rebranding as Halo Studios? And I forget who the head of the studio is, someone originally from 343, because Kiki Wolfkill stepped down, and now this other
Bonnie Ross was next.
Bonnie Ross, yeah, now she's in charge.
She left.
Oh, she left. Sorry, yeah,
yeah.
Kiki Wolfkill worked for 343, right? She worked on Halo, if I remember correctly. Anyways, they're ditching the Slip Space engine because I guess it's so old and it's really hard to work with, and then they're moving into the Unreal Engine, and they announced that they're working on 3 different projects right now.
Nice.
Any conjecture as to what those might be? Because I don't know about you, like Halo Infinite was fun, but it wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't the Halo. It didn't give me the story. Because I a lot of people go and they play Halo for the story. Like it's not, the multiplayer is fun, but a majority of the Halo fans play it for the story.
And I think that's you projecting onto others. I do think there are quite a few people, but I do think Halo is a very gameplay first game. I think Halo 1 through 3 did a really good job setting up the story, and I think 4 and 5 were very story focused. I'm still one of those Halo Infinite defenders. Like I loved it. I think it's one of the most fun Halo games. I think my only disappointments come from there was less lively the world was than it could have been, and I upgraded everything almost immediately, but like going around and grappling, that grapple system was incredible.
That was good.
I mean, truly, like if this was Bethesda saying they were dumping the creation engine, I would be like cheering right now because that thing needs to go. Starfield and Skyrim and everything was made in, it's really old and doesn't seem to work super well, and it's not the best engine anymore. But Slip Space, I mean, I don't really have a lot of history with it outside of playing the Halo games. It's probably best they're doing Unreal Engine. More developers, they'll have a bigger talent pool to choose from for the next game.
Too. Yeah.
It will look better. I mean, there's something I think sad about like every company losing all of its own engines, because back in the day everybody made their own engines, right? Like Final Fantasy had their. Everybody is moving to Unreal. Unreal is like they won, right? This is their dominance. This is their Disney lap. They now have all the companies. Everybody uses their licenses. They rule, right? But at the same way, like I don't care that much. I just want it to be like a good game. So if it's going to bring better creatives to it because there's more people that know Unreal, great. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the trouble was Halo has had a hard time doing what has made Halo so great in the past, and I think they just keep missing the mark somehow, and that's why they keep the people playing the game is going down. The reviews are not what they once were. Actually, Infinite I think reviewed pretty well, but I don't know. Hopefully this restructuring will bring back what made Halo so great for all of us when we were growing up.
Halo Infinite was Game of the Year for one of the publications. I can't remember which one, but it was also nominated for the Game Awards 2022. So
I know you sing Halo 5's praises, even though that was one that is like universally.
I think Halo 5 was a very fun game. I get people's hate for it. I think the only Halo I could understand everybody hating is 4. I've never finished 4. Probably never will play 4. I think it's not a fun game. I think it was 343's first stab at Halo, and I did not enjoy it at all. I played 2 maps and I've never touched it again, or 2 of the levels.
It's a hard game, man.
Yeah, I just did not enjoy it. I think 5 was at least more fun, in my opinion, like more capital F, because I am one of the fans who's like, I wanted Halo to have a sprint button, and I wanted Halo to have aim down sights. That's what 5 brought, and that's what they kind of have in Infinite. That's what I want, right? I want Halo to not be, oh, it's not Call of Duty. It's Counter-Strike, right? And that's what Counter-Strike is. Counter-Strike, and people love Counter-Strike for what it is. I want Halo to be able to be brought into the modern century, right? To be a modern first-person shooter, not just some game where it's like, well, Halo does this, and this is why Halo exists, right? Because you're only going to have so many fans, and maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe that's why less people are glomming onto it. I doubt it. I think less people are playing Halo Infinite multiplayer because there's so many games out. There are so many games. Like, I would play more of it if I could. It's such a fun multiplayer system.
Yeah,
I agree, but with the thing is, though, I think what the show proved, and let's tie into the show with this, is the fact that the Halo mystique is dying out. And you can see it behind me, how much I love Halo. So I don't say this offhandedly, but realistically, who is Halo for at this point in time? Is it for guys that are our ages, in our demographics? But is that what you really want? Is it connecting with younger audiences? It is not. So they need to go back and come up with a story, or what's been rumored here on the 25th anniversary here coming up in a couple of years, they're just going to redo Halo Combat Evolved and then put it on PlayStation and whatnot. But they need to connect and build a story that connects with the younger audience and create Halo and Master Chief, reboot them for a different audience. And that, Josh, we've talked about this on the Cosmos many times about other IPs, like Star Wars, for instance. Star Wars, in order for it to continue its success for decades, and sorry, Cool Bro, I argued with you on this before, and I know you're in the chat, it needs to connect with younger audiences. And outside of Cool Bro, it has not done that entirely, outside of the Baby Yoda, it's so cute, we got to buy plushies of him type deal.
all right.
With Master Chief, it's that same thing. If Xbox is continuing to exist, if you want Xbox to continue putting out consoles and hardware and not just be some cloud thing that you can play off your smart TV, they need to go ahead and have IPs that will connect with younger audiences, whether it's on a multi-format type deal or if it's exclusive. It just needs to have the Gears, the Halos. They need to find the Halo and Gears that will connect with the younger audience going forward. Otherwise, the future of Xbox, as much as I hate to say it, being that we're all Xbox fans, is doomed. I have an Xbox Series X I absolutely love, but I just know that there are not a whole lot of people under 25 that are playing Xbox as much as they used to.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Gerald. I will say one of the things I find most interesting, because I work with children, is that if something's good, or at least their parents like it, they'll like it. The Star Wars I hear the most talk about is not Mandalorian. I do hear a little bit about Baby Yoda, but it's very rarely like Obi-Wan or Acolyte or any of those. It's always episodes 1 through 3 or episodes 4 through 6. And these are coming from like 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds, right? Like, it is funny how, like, if a thing is good, people of all ages will enjoy it. I think the problem with Halo becoming like a multiverse, right, with the TV show or multimedia style, whatever people want to call it now, is that the TV show wasn't good. They just wanted to get more money off the IP, right? And similarly, if we're going to do this to Star Wars or anything else, we have to make good quality content. And I worry right now that the idea first is the money focused, how to move the IP, and less focused on how to make good quality work, right? How to make art again. Because when Halo 1 was made, I highly doubt they were thinking anything of the story. They're probably just thinking, hey, let's make a cool game. Let's make a really fun game to play, and it has like a fun Starship Troopery style storyline.
It would have been so funny to be a fly on the wall. Just real quick, that when somebody, the head of Xbox, I forget who it was at that time, put like something right in front of somebody in Bungie at that point in time at someone's desk. Hey, I want you to go ahead and make us a mythology. Go to it, man. I want you to build thousands and thousands of years of mythology and put it on my desk by Tuesday. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
They immediately started writing books, though. I think it was like a year after the game came out, all these books started coming out talking about like how, you know, what happened to Reach and all that. But, you know, Lifted here, it said Halo came out in 2001. And like, I remember when it came out, like it was that perfect blend of story and multiplayer, because you would you plug it in, you play the campaign, right, and it had all this interesting like intrigue and backstory to it. All the things with the Forerunners were really cool as you were exploring the Halo ring itself, and then you wanted to play more, so you jump into the multiplayer, and the multiplayer was just as good. So I mean, if they could somehow manage to capture that magic that, you know, made you want to do both, then I think that they could have a really great game on their hands. But they just have there's so many, you know, I don't want to say they're misses, but they're kind of close to being misses, you know, that they got to go back and make up for.
Well, yeah, I mean that, and honestly, this Blizzard book was a perfect example of that. They canceled so many projects that were mediocre, right? Like, that's, if you want to keep a brand that is like really high quality. I mean, in some ways, Sony is trying to do that, right? Like, that's why they literally took Concord off the shelves. They want you to forget that this game ever existed. They don't want a game with that low of sales to ever be tied to Sony, right? And that is like, that's the sign of like a brand that really cares about its brand, right? It wants to be the best. So Blizzard used to do that. They don't do that anymore. Sony used to do that, kind of still does, even with the weird Concord stuff. The problem is Microsoft doesn't have that thought. Like, their thing right now is kind of like Netflix. They have to create content. So sometimes they're going to release a miss. And they've released quite a few, but I will say I don't think Halo Infinite was a miss. I don't think Forza Horizon 5 was a miss.
Yeah.
They have a lot of hits that a lot of people forget. I find it so funny because when I think of poor decisions with Halo, it's really just like the Halo TV show, right? Like, what were you thinking? You didn't need this. No one was asking for it.
What a roller.
Was somebody being like, hey, I need a Halo TV show? Like, I don't know. It seemed crazy to me, and it's supposed to be horrible. So,
yeah. I mean, it had, me and Gerald have talked about it. It had its ups and downs, and it was
well, there was only one up, and that was that in second season, the Fall of Reach. We liked it, and we thought, okay, after all the episodes that were so bad, and that they changed so much out of even the mythology that was made up in the first place. But even after all the mythology they changed on that Halo show, the Fall of Reach, they got that for the most part right, which we enjoyed. And then they just took a swan dive back into Crapsville once again. Right after
there were some glimmers of hope along the way. All right, let's jump into another news topic here. This one's a quickie. Xbox Game Studios leadership has seen a change. So the boss from Rare takes over. I forget what his name is. Hold on. So Alan Hartman's retiring, and Craig Duncan is Craig Duncan's taken over. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Alan Hartman is being pushed out, or do you think he's just saying, like, because he's been around since the release of Age of Empires, so I mean, he's got quite a what do you call it, like a
legacy, like a history
yeah,
story,
yeah,
I guess, within the company. Yeah, he's done a lot of great things, but I mean, for me, I think it's probably just he's been there for a long time. He's retiring. I mean, this is corporate America. He might have even got a better offer. It does look like he's probably in his mid to late 50s. He's been with Microsoft for a long time. He either got probably a really, really good position somewhere else, or he's probably done. Right. But I don't think it's Microsoft pushing anyone out.
No,
I think
not if his last day is like end of November.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what you call a golden parachute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
not Bobby Kotick, maybe, but yeah.
No. I mean, it sounds like he's pretty liked by people, though. So I mean, I think it's a good way to go out.
Yeah, I think in the end, it's like all jobs. Like, yes, now if we saw like a weird out of the midst of nowhere Phil Spencer getting essentially kicked out, right? Like he's gone in 2 weeks. Yeah, then we have a lot to rumor about. But like, this seems just like hey, this guy's been with the company for a long time. He wants to retire. or move on.
I got my Microsoft shares.
He's going to get so much money. You know, he probably has a family, or even if he doesn't, he could probably still tour the world. I assume his job as like the head of Xbox is very stressful, right? Like when you get that high, it goes one of two ways when you get that high. It's either no stress because you don't have to do anything besides show up to meetings, or it's incredible stress. And normally that his area is probably one of the more stressful areas because he still had like 3 bosses above him. So the more like that's that perfect amount of stress where you're like, I have 3 more people I have to report to above me that keep wanting stuff. So he's probably just like, hey, I'm done. I think it's probably good
without
right?
any. Yeah, and he's leaving too without any scandals under his belt. So I think that's a good. The
second he leaves will probably change, right? Everything will say. I feel like the second anyone gets out.
I can't believe what this guy did. Yeah, for sure.
Anytime somebody says something good about someone, I just wait for someone out of the woodworks to come out and be like, this guy killed my parents. You're like, what? You never said this like a week ago, but
we call that the Dave Grohl treatment. All right, Gerald, before we get into the biggie here, I want to hear about, you had a scoop for us that you sent us shortly before the show started here. What do you got for us, man?
Which one? Which story? I said all
those
3
scoops.
subjects.
Oh, did you? No, okay. So I'm talking about.
Well, we talked about ReFantazio.
We didn't talk about the sales though.
Yeah, sales was like 1 million in its first day. Biggest hit ever for Atlas. I mean, not a bestseller all time, but it's certainly the best start for an Atlas game ever, and for something that came out totally under the radar to most people out there. This is something that was a great surprise, and I'm very happy for Atlas because, again, Atlas is one of those, well, I guess what you would still call them a double A. If this was back in 2005, 2007, I think they're one of the few publishers that you could say is a double A because they're not indie level, but they're not triple A in my opinion.
They're in a weird space, right? They're owned by Sega, which is triple A, right? But they're they operate semi-independently.
Yeah.
Just real quick, just so we
can. And if I was owned by Sega, I would try to run independently too.
Yeah, and they're probably Sega's golden goose. You know, they are the ones that print money for them. But just
that and Sonic.
Yeah, just think about this. Sorry, Sonic games are so bad. Still make them a lot of money, but it's so funny. Just think about this.
So many that they dedicated a spotlight on it for like a half hour of all the different Sonic related projects a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I forgot how many we talked about on the podcast a week or two ago. It was like 170 Sonic games or some nonsense. But just think about Atlas's output for this year alone. They released Persona 3 Reload in January. They released Unicorn Overlord in March, I want to say, and then they released Metaphor ReFantazio. Now, I mean, if you take it with Sega, Sega also released Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth in January. And then if you want to just scope out one bit for just RPGs overall, you also have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You're going to have Romancing Saga. You're going to have Dragon Quest 3 2D HD. You're going to have Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remake. You're going to have Mario and Luigi Brothership. It's a crazy year for pretty big RPGs, I will say. I can't remember this many turn-based or action RPGs coming out in like this type of window in my memory for a while. And that doesn't even include all the PC re-releases like Final Fantasy 16 or I mentioned earlier Wise 10 comes out next. These are smaller RPGs. Real crazy stuff. But Atlas has been killing it.
You just mentioned though something from Sega. It's so funny because on my bingo dance card for games that would be coming out every year, obviously sports games, Call of Duty, I didn't think Yakuza would be on that dance card. So.
Oh my goodness. And to be honest, I'm loving it. That's like one of my favorite series. Like, and they somehow, I think it's because they don't really ever focus on graphics. They somehow always put out a pretty incredible game on this will be their 3rd game in a 1-year cadence, I want to say, and 5 games within a 2-year cadence. Like they are just, I don't even understand. I guess by the time it releases, it will be 1 this January, 1 in February, so whatever. But if you really look at it, they've released so many games for the Like a Dragon or Yakuza series, and they've all been pretty good. And they have an Amazon Prime show coming out, which I'm hopeful is good. I'm not expecting it to be, but I'm hopeful that comes out in November. They're really good at storytelling.
Yeah,
I hope, man. I mean, Fallout was incredible. I love that. It's crazy to think that was this year too, right? Yeah. Like I believe the Fallout TV show was this year, and that was just phenomenal. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to detract from the Metaphor ReFantazio talk.
No, absolutely. It kudos to Atlas for doing it, and yeah, it seems to be something that a lot of people are connecting with right now. So
yeah, I'm loving it. I wish I had more time. That's the only thing, is those are like 80, 90-hour games. So it's like I just don't ever expect I'll finish one, but it's really fun.
JSJ is asking if Mass Effect is coming out next after Dragon Age. I don't know.
You might get more on November the 7th. I have a feeling you're going to find out more about
N7 Day.
About N7 Day in regards to the game, or maybe somebody finally agreeing to do a TV or movie. I keep hoping every day. Josh has heard this. It's like the day that they finally commit to a series or a movie for Mass Effect. Yes. So
yeah,
a man can hope. But I have a feeling you'll find out more on November 7th, because that's usually they try to tease it. But it is supposedly JSJ, the one that is in development. They've already shown you a couple of teaser trailers before in past years. So I don't know if they still are going to do it, but as of this point, it's still on the books after Dragon Age comes out this Halloween, which is a weird day to release this game. But
it is, yeah, October 31st. I feel like BioWare is in a really weird place. I was talking with Dr. Donna, one of the old shows, old hosts, if you listen to the show years ago, and we were talking about how this current director for Veilguard, like, specifically doesn't like Dragon Age or RPGs, and they came from The Sims. And you can listen to the way I'm speaking about that person. This is an interesting person. They don't like the game that they're on. So yeah, it's a weird one. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm still really hopeful it's going to be great. But when Dr. Donna mentioned that to me, I was very, very surprised with kind of everything that was going on. Especially, it's like, why do you choose somebody like that? But the person that was chosen, definitely got a leg up in the company.
That's just great. Dragon Age, the dating sim. That's what I always wanted.
It's a typical EA move, though. I mean, like, they have a history of doing that too. I mean, that's what got them in such hot water with the last Mass Effect game too.
We forgot to mention on Xbox the settlement, I guess, with gamers that had sued the last, because we always thought it was done before the Activision Blizzard. They overcame the court, the trial, and the court case, and all that, and all the different economic, I guess, departments that they had to go through in countries worldwide. They finally made all the concessions. There was one more thing, which was the class action lawsuit by gamers suing Xbox, and so it looks like they've come to a settlement on that. So I think we can finally say that the Activision Blizzard deal is now done at a tidy, after this settlement, probably 75-80 million dollars as far as it's concerned when all is said and done, or $80 billion, excuse me. So yeah.
Can we talk about this for a second, though? How crazy is it that we're living in a world where gamers can sue developers simply because they have a fear of something happening?
Or if, let's say, I know there were some lawsuits right around the time of Cyberpunk because of how badly that came out. And yeah, should be a fear now of litigation and reprisal if a game, I'm surprised somebody hasn't sued for our favorite game, Concord, because of what happened and then pulling out. There could be that one person that could see as an opportunity to make some money.
I thought Sony was getting sued for Concord.
Were they? I'll take a look, but I'm not aware of it, so that's why.
Okay, I guess they didn't. They didn't get a chance, but they were suing for something else. I can't remember what other game they were suing for recently. That was kind of silly.
No, I haven't seen anything yet. But technically, this seems like ripe for somebody actually doing that. But I guess no one actually cared about doing it either. So,
but they offered full refunds. If they somehow were allowed to sue for that, to be honest, I would be upset. That's ridiculous. If somebody loses all their money and gives you the money back on something, how is that okay if they get sued as well? It's like, hey, we didn't take any of your money and we gave you your money back, but you're also allowed to sue us for even more money.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me, because you can't walk out of a movie theater and be like, oh, that movie sucked, I'm going to sue the studio that made it. You can't do that. So it's weird that there's not the same protections in place for gaming companies as there are for movie makers.
Apparently not. Again, video games have always, Josh, you know this, and so as well as you, Brank, even since the 90s. Video games have always been treated not as an entertainment medium at the level of movies and television. They have not been given those protections in a lot of cases that we've seen over the years. And that doesn't surprise me in the least, because a lot of people out there don't view video games as art or as something that could be construed as art, which is part of the problem in and of itself.
Well, it's also, I mean, look at the Pal World issue. We talked about it last time, but like Nintendo is suing the Pal World developers based on like tech stuff, right? Like on patents based on the tech used, right? Like the throwing of the Pokeball. That can't happen in cinema. I don't think they could sue someone by like, oh, you used your camera this way or you put this lens on, right? Like, so games are in this like weird place where they are, in my opinion, they are art. They're like a really unique medium, but they're also like a game and they're also a piece of software. And they came and in trying to explain programming to most people, even me, I studied it for 5 years. There is so much to it. It's inherently difficult for people to understand, right? That like what a programmer does, how difficult anything is. So yeah, I just think it's always, we're going to have these fights till like AI, I guess, does everything. And then if there's no humans, then maybe we'll all be able to interject with the same knowledge, right?
Well, let's get it before we get into our next subject. It's like Tron, which takes us to our next subject. The movie.
Wait, there's
the movie you think of as art. The movie you think of as art, or movies you think of as art, but any video games in the Tron universe, do you think of them in that same fact? We do, because obviously we do a game show as far as it's concerned, but most people would not think of those video games that have ever been created in the Tron universe as art. So
I guess that's true.
I haven't played a lot of them. Have you guys played the other Tron games? And if
the old arcade game, yes, I played the heck out of that.
I don't have any history with them.
But what is happening? We don't even know what Gerald was referring to, other than that there's something to do with Tron. Jank, tell us, or somebody.
Well, I'm going to try and show it on screen while you go ahead, Jank. Go for it.
I didn't read the article. I feel I'm embarrassed, guys. On what kind of host am I? I don't know what Gerald's talking about here.
Well, I'm going to put it on, and you notice I'm using PlayStation and not Nintendo's, because anything relating to Nintendo's right now is just like,
you're going to get sued.
Yes. Or take off. So
the art grid.
Yes. So I'm gonna turn off the.
Nice.
So
Devolver. That's how you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, yes. Devolver's a good publisher. Bithell Games. He did the other Tron. I want to say it's like a visual novel that came out maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I never played it either. I think it is neat. I always like the Tron world, and I'm pretty excited for the music for the next Tron. The Nine Inch Nails soundtrack.
That's right. That's right. I forgot he was doing that.
They did Daft Punk last time, which was great. I love Nine Inch Nails. They normally do incredible film soundtracks. I'm pretty excited. So I think it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, or I can't remember.
They did The Social Network, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, which is one of the best film scores or non-conventional scores, I should say, in a long time. They've also done quite a few other films, but yeah, Social Network is probably the biggest one.
And you do Light Cycles, the whole 9 yards. But the only thing is, I wish it was on a scale of a AAA. But obviously, what we're seeing is just going to be, like I said, Devolver is going to be done more on a top down, different level like that. But
it's supposed to be like Hades. I feel like the rumor was it's played like Hades and some other mix. I can't remember. I read a little bit about today. But Bithell he's a small developer, right? He did like the John Wick Hex game that came out. And
that was got solid reviews.
Yeah. Everything he's put out is very like well reviewed. And I want to say he did the other Tron project. It's kind of hard to call it a game. Yeah, it's called Tron Identity, and it came out last year. That's what it was. But it's just like puzzles, and it's on Switch and iOS and Mac. So it's like kind of like mostly a mobile title. But it's supposed to be very good. I just haven't had the time. I do think this one looks like better, but that makes sense. It sounds like probably got more money, so there's more that they can do if you've got light.
It looks good. It looks good in that sense. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's great.
All right, let's hit this last news topic here. This is a biggie. Game Freak had a leak back in August, but they're just now letting people know that it happened. So they leaked. Whoever hacked into it got all this employee information. They got information on upcoming projects, and they were able to get a hold of these builds from all of the I don't know if it's all of them, but I think a majority of all the previous Pokemon games. So
nice.
Yeah, but it happened in August. I think it was like August 15th, and they're just now telling people about it in October. So not a lot of transparency, it seems like, with
what are you talking about? Nintendo's the number one transparency company, okay? They tell us everything. They're very just out in the open. They don't sue anyone ever, too. They're really big fan of letting fans do what they want with their IP. Nintendo's just all around good.
You know who's behind this attack is Pal World.
Dude, that'd be super funny if it was. Like they hack them just to be like, hey, you guys are suing us? Well, here you go. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about it. What was one of the key talking points that you saw? Did they mention any new games? Did they tell you what's coming out next? Like,
no, I mean, that's really just it, is the fact that they knew about this for a long time and didn't, let anybody know, they didn't let their employees know about it. And the release of the old Pokemon builds, I think, is the big topic because, as we've talked about, Nintendo likes to, sue people that, put out emulators and things like that. So how many, and what if we get a bunch of new like Pokemon-esque games like Pal World because people got a hold of these builds and just kind of reskinned them and told new stories with them, and it's kind of Pandora's box has been opened here.
I was just looking at what Brank said, and I was just looking at going to Pocket Pairs as far as their CEO and their top level staff, and they're all actually have pictures and dressed like Anonymous. So maybe Brank was running.
That's them. Pocket Pair is hacking them Nintendos.
I'm just kidding out there. Don't hack us, please. Don't.
Oh
hack us.
Man.
For A, it would be too easy, and B, it would be no fun for you.
Yeah, there'd be nothing there. I mean, unlike this, what are they going to act? Oh, they don't have a run of shows, so we can't spoil it. They have like one text thread
cards coming out. Yeah. Anyways, that's I just thought that was interesting because I feel like the box has been open. Like there's gonna be a lot of I don't know, mimicry of Pokemon games if people got a hold of these these builds for them. So I guess we'll see what happens.
That, but there's already been like so many of those. Temtem, I can't even think of all the ones. Monster World. There's so many right now that it's like they don't need the source code. I think the only interesting thing about these hacks, so they mentioned Switch 2, they talk about other games.
Yeah.
But compared to that one Giga Leak, I think it was called, from Nintendo, I want to say it was Nintendo, maybe like 2-3 years ago, that I feel like was swept under the rug for how much was leaked, right? Like it was like kind of everything was leaked.
That's what Nintendo does, though. I mean, they're doing the same thing with this. They're trying to, playing it down, making it seem like it's not that big a deal, but still, like if I worked for them, I'd be pretty mad if they didn't let me know that somebody possibly stole my information.
I guarantee you Nintendo is probably trying to find whoever they can to sue them right now. And they probably have their teams of lawyers just looking to sue more people, right? Like that's kind of what Nintendo does. And this isn't coming, it probably sounds like I hate Nintendo. I don't at all. I just know that recently they've been on this crazy stint. They've been doing
a vengeance tour.
Yeah. They've been doing this for their whole company's life, but it's felt extra vengeful, extra petty this last year. I mean, these are sometimes they're suing people who it's like live in their parents' house, right? It's like, it feels like Metallica suing the Pirators back in early 2000s, right?
Napster,
like,
right?
Yeah, Napster. They were like, they had the jokes, right, about on South Park about Lars not being able to get his next pool or something because of the one girl who was able to get the song for free, right? Like that's how petty this feels at this point. It's like Nintendo's a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're going after people who are like interested in tinkering with any of their stuff. So
yeah, it's they are a very petty company. I mean, they're like you said, they make cool things, but they're just very petty when it comes to their IPs.
Yeah.
All right, my dudes. Any other thoughts here before we say goodnight?
No. I don't have thoughts. I am one with the machine. I don't know.
Yes. All right. Well, next week, everyone better buckle up because we're going to be talking horror games.
No, it's too scary.
Go boo and make us not want to play them anymore. So if you all have some games you want to talk about, shoot us an email at the superbscast@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it on the show, or just join in and jump in the chat here and talk, and we'll include you in our conversation. It'll be great. But for now, I think that'll do it. Good night, so long, farewell, and whatever else they say in Sound of Music.
Be blessed.
Super BS.